Well, last time we discussed about Schrodinger's time dependent equation, then Schrodinger's time independent equation. Then we also talked about stationary state. Stationary state. Okay, we discussed about all these things last time. So actually, we discussed these things in third sem. Still, I am reminding you because these are very, very important. Okay, these things will be required in SEM 5 also. Now, so we have seen that from time dependent equation, okay, from time dependent equation, we may get time independent equation. That means what we actually do, what we actually do in the equation, in the time dependent equation in x dimension, in the time dependent equation in x dimension, we have two variables. We have two variables, x and t. Okay. Basically, what we have done, we have separated the time dependent equation. We have separated the time dependent equation into two equations. One equation containing t, the other equation containing x. Okay, I repeat. Basically, what we have done, this is the time dependent equation in x dimension. Okay, so what we have done, we have separated this equation, this time dependent equation, into two equations, one containing x, the other containing time. Okay, now how to separate the Schrodinger equation into two equations? Here we have two variables, so we will separate the equation into two equations. For that, first what we do, we assume the wave function to be a product of two independent functions. We assume the function to be a product of two independent functions. This function is independent of x, this function is independent of t. Then what we do? From this assumption, we find out del psi del t and del 2 psi del x square. Okay. Then we replace. Okay. Then we replace. Then we divide by this. So in this way we divide the equation into two equations. Okay, this is also known as separation of variables. Okay, now this method is required. That means if the Schrodinger equation contains more than one variable, I repeat, if the Schrodinger equation contains more than one variable, then how to divide the Schrodinger equation into as many equations as the number of variables. Okay. Next, we will find some examples where the Schrodinger equation will contain more than one variable, and in order to solve the equation, we divide the equation into as many equations as the number of variables. And same method is applied. Now let us talk about well-behaved function. Okay, so we have seen that time independent equation, Schrodinger's time independent equation in one dimension is this. This is the Schrodinger's time independent equation in one dimension, x dimension. Okay, now we can solve this equation. If we solve the equation, we will get the value of psi. Okay, but problem is that psi may have so many values. Psi may have so many values. Okay, so for example, suppose here we assume phi equal to 0. Okay, phi equal to 0. Then the equation can be written like this: d2 psi dx square. Phi equal to 0, we assume phi equal to 0, then plus 2m e by h bar square psi equal to 0. Okay, equal to 0. Or say m constant, e constant, we have already seen, h bar constant, whole this thing is constant. So let me write it as k square psi. This is 0. Okay, k square psi is 0. Now we have this equation. So this equation is of the form this: d2y by dx square plus k square y equal to 0. This equation is this form. So here in place of y we have psi. Here y is a function of x. Here also psi is a function of x. So same equation. Now this is a second order differential equation. Okay, so Schrödinger equation is basically a second order differential equation. So this equation can be solved. How we can solve this equation? We first assume, let the solution be y equal to e to the power mx. Let the solution be y equal to e to the power mx. Okay, now here we have this d2y dx square. So if we difference the d2y by dx square, if we do this from here, okay, so this is the number one. So if we do this, what we get? We will get m square e to the power mx. Okay, so replacing this here, what we get? M square e to the power mx plus k square e to the power mx equal to 0, or m square equal to minus k square, or k square equal to minus m square. Okay, so k equal to plus minus I m. So what is the solution then? So y equal to e to the power plus minus I m x, because k equal to this. So second order differential equation, how we solve it? First we assume solution is this. Okay, then we do this and we are getting this. So solution is this. This is the value of y. So here also same equation. So psi will be equal to e to the power plus minus I m x. So one solution may be this, e to the power I m x, plus the other solution may be this, e to the power minus I m x. Okay, Now we know e to the power I x equal to cos x plus I sin x. Therefore psi 1 will be equal to cos mx plus I sin mx. Similarly, psi 2 will be equal to cos mx. This is minus I sin mx. Okay, so these are the two solutions. Now, if we have a theory like this, so these are the two solutions to this equation. These are the two solutions to this equation. So if we have two solutions to an equation, differential equation, then we can say that the linear combination of psi 1 and psi 2 will also be a solution to the equation. Actually, psi 1 and psi 2, they should have the same energy. We will discuss about this later. Just you remember that these are the two solutions to this equation and they have the same energy. So the linear combination of these two will also be a solution. Now, what is linear combination? What is linear combination of two functions? Say f1 one function, f2 one another function. What is linear combination? Linear combination is nothing but we multiply this function by a constant, we multiply this function by another constant, then we add. This is mathematically, this is linear combination. Linear combination of two functions, f1 and f2. That means we multiply each function by a constant, then we add. This is known as linear combination. So here also what we get, say C1, that means psi equal to C1 psi 1, C2 psi 2, linear combination. So this linear combination will also be a solution. Okay, so C1 cos mx plus C1 I sin mx plus C2 cos mx plus minus C2 I sin mx, or I can write it like this, C1 plus C2 cos mx plus C1 C1 I minus C2 I sin mx. Okay, let me write this as a cos k mx plus b sin mx. Okay, or I can write it like this, say okay, actually I should have done like this. Say in place of this I should have written like this. This is k square m plus m equal to minus this. So m equal to plus minus I k x. So this will be I k x. Okay, I k x. So this is k x. This is k x. This is k x. This is k x. Okay, this is k x. K x. Kx, kx, so kx, kx. Okay, because you see m square equal to m square plus k square equal to 0. This cancels. M square plus k square equal to 0. Okay, so m square equal to minus k square. So m equal to plus minus ikx. So we can write it like this. Okay, this is kx. Okay, this is kx. Okay, so we can write this. We have written in terms of k, not in terms of m, because we assume the solution to be this. So we get the value of m. We should get the value of m. So we assume the value of y to be this. We assume the value of y to be this. So we have to know the value of m. So we have found out the value of m. Okay, so this. So we say that this is the general solution. This is the general solution. This is the general solution to this equation. This is the general solution to this equation. Okay, to this equation. So let me write once again. So equation is this, d2 psi dx square plus k square psi equal to 0. So what is the general solution? General solution is psi equal to a cos kx plus b sin kx. So this is the general solution. Okay. Now depending on the value of theta, that means x. Depending on the value of x, we may get thousands of values of psi. Okay, depending on the value of x, we may get thousands of values of psi. Okay, but all those values of psi may not be significant to us. So xৰ ওপৰত ডিপেণ্ড কৰি আমি চাইৰ অজস্ৰ ভেলু পাম, কিন্তু চাইৰ গোটেইকেইটা ভেলু আমাৰ কামত নাহিব পাৰে. ওকে, so depending on the value of x, we will get thousands of values of psi, but all those values of psi may not be significant. We want those values of psi which are significant. Okay, how to get those values of psi which are significant? Okay, that means acceptable. How to get the acceptable values of psi. This, I repeat, depending on the value of x, we will get thousands of values of psi, but all those thousands of values may not be significant. Okay, we want only those values which are significant. Now how to get those significant values of psi? That means how to get those acceptable values of psi. For that, we impose three conditions. Number one condition is psi must be single valued. Must be single valued. Psi must be single valued. That means for a particular value of x, we must have only one value of psi. For a particular value of x, we must have only one value of psi. If we get, for a particular value of x, if we get more than one value of psi, then it will not be single valued. Okay? Say, suppose we are plotting this. We are drawing a graph. We are drawing a graph between psi equal to say sin x. Okay? We are drawing a graph between psi equal to say sin x versus x. If we draw this graph, we will get a graph like this. So here you see, for a particular value of x, we are getting a particular value of psi. For a definite value of x, we are getting a definite value of psi. So you see, so this function psi equal to sin x, this function is single valued. But suppose we are drawing a graph. We have some function, and we are drawing a graph, and the graph is say like this. Graph is like this. Now here what happens? At this point of x, only one value of psi. All right. But here what happens? At this value of x, we are having one value, two value, three values of psi. So this function is definitely not single valued. This is not single valued. Because for a particular value of x, we are getting more than one value of x. Okay, single valued. Now, why psi must be single valued? Because if psi has only one value at a definite value of x, if psi has only one value, then psi square will also have only one value. That means probability will have only one value. At a definite point, probability will have only one value. But here you see, at this value of x, we will get three values of probability, three values of psi. That means three values of probability. This type of result creates problem. It is difficult to explain this type of result. Okay, therefore we impose the condition that psi must be single valued. Okay, because if at a value of x, psi has more than one value, then probability will have more than one value, and it will create problem in explaining such type of result. So we impose this condition. Second condition is that psi must be continuous. Psi and its first derivative. Psi and its first derivative. First derivative must be continuous. And from calculus you know that, say we have a function fx. In order to be continuous, limit x tends to a minus, that must be equal to limit x tends to a plus that must be equal to fa. We know this condition. Left hand limit, right hand limit equal to fa. Continuous. Now here this function is continuous. There is no break. It is a continuous function. Continuous function. But if we get a graph like this, suppose we are plotting one function and we are getting a graph like this. So there is break, there is break. It is not continuous. Okay? So this is not acceptable. But this is acceptable because it is continuous. Again, why psi must be continuous? Okay? Answer is again probability. If psi is continuous like this, psi square will change continuously. That means probability will change continuously. But here psi square will have abrupt values because psi is not continuous. So this type of result is also not required. Okay, this type of result is also not acceptable. Number 3 is that psi must be finite. Finite. Or we can write integration psi square dx minus infinity to plus infinity, that must be finite. We call it quadratically integrable. We can write like this or we can write like this. This is in 1 dimension. But in 3 dimension, we will write like this. Psi square d tau, that must be finite. In 3 dimension, we will write it. What does d tau mean? D tau means dx into dy into dz. At the same time, d tau means limit is from minus infinity to plus infinity. Therefore, when we write d tau, we would not write the limit because limit is implied, minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, this must be finite. We can say psi must be finite, or we can say this. Psi must be quadratically integrable. Psi must be quadratically integrable. Quadratically integrable means this must be finite or this must be finite. This is 1 dimension, 3 dimension. Okay. So now why psi must be finite or why psi must be quadratically integrable? Now suppose this integration minus infinity to plus infinity psi square dx. So psi square is probability. Psi square is probability at a point. And psi square dx is the probability within the range x to x plus dx. Psi square dx is the probability within this range. Similarly, psi square d tau is the probability within a small volume. D tau. Psi square d tau is the probability within a small volume d tau. Now, if we integrate it, it will mean total probability. Okay, this will mean total probability. Now, total probability cannot be infinity. Maximum value is 1. Maximum value of probability is 1. So it cannot be infinity. Okay. Now if we assume that this is equal to A, if we assume that this is equal to A, this is a finite quantity, this is a finite quantity, then we can write it like this: minus infinity to plus infinity psi square dx in 1 by A equal to 1. But if it is infinity, we cannot write like this. We cannot make it 1. We cannot make it 1. If it is infinity, this is equal to infinity, we cannot make it 1. But if this is finite quantity, we can make it 1. Or we can write it like this: 1 by root A psi square dx equal to 1. Okay, that means if it is finite, we can make total probability equal to 1, maximum. Total probability equal to 1, that is maximum. But if it is infinity, we cannot do this. Now here you see, initially this integration was not equal to 1. Okay, but we have made this integration equal to 1. Okay, now this function is called a normalized function. Earlier psi was not a normalized function, because this integration is not equal to 1. Earlier psi was not a normalized function because this integration is not equal to 1. Okay, and we have converted this function into a normalized function. How? By multiplying the function by a constant. Okay, initially this function was not normalized function, this function was not normalized because this is equal to A. But we have converted this function into a normalized function. How? By multiplying the function by a constant. Okay, and what is normalization? Normalization means say integration psi square dx minus infinity to plus infinity equal to 1. If this integration is 1, then we say that the function is normalized. This is in 1 dimension. In 3 dimension, it will be this. Okay, if this integration is equal to 1, then psi is a normalized function. Okay, so what is a normalized function? A function psi is said to be normalized if this integration or this integration is equal to 1. Normalized function. Okay, now let's come back. Initially this function was not normalized, so we have converted this into a normalized function. How? By multiplying the function by a constant, and this constant is called the normalization constant. Okay, normalization constant. We can write it like this. We can write it like this: n psi. What is n? N equal to 1 by root A. Normalization constant. Okay, so here in quantum chemistry we will often find that a function is not normalized, and we normalize the function by multiplying by a constant. So we'll see this, we'll see that. Okay, So why psi must be finite? Why psi must be finite? Because of this. This is total probability. It cannot be infinity. It 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 may be maximum value is 1. So if it is finite, then we can make it 1 maximum probability. If it is infinite, we cannot make this equal to 1. So therefore, it must be finite or quadratically integrable. Now, the function which obeys these three conditions, the function which obeys these three conditions are called is called well-behaved function. Well-behaved function. What is well-behaved function? The function which obeys these three conditions. These three conditions. Well-behaved function. So let us see some examples. Suppose psi equal to sin x. Whether this is well-behaved or not. First, we have to see whether it is single valued or not. Okay. So we have already seen it is single valued. It is single valued. Psi equal to sin x is single valued. So first condition is satisfied. Second condition, psi is continuous. So we have already seen psi is continuous. Okay. So second condition is also satisfied. Third condition, psi must be finite. So we know maximum value of sin theta is +1, minimum value is -1. So obviously, okay, maximum value is +1 sin theta, minimum value is -1. So obviously this is finite. So it must be single value. It must be well-behaved. This must be well-behaved because this function obeys all the three conditions. Okay. It is single valued, it is continuous, and it is finite. Alright. Second, another example, say psi equal to say cos x. Again, this function is well-behaved. Why? Because obviously it is, if we draw cos theta, cos x versus x, so graph will be like this. Graph will be like this. Graph will be like this. So again, it is single value. For a particular value of x, we are getting only one value. First condition satisfied. Second condition continuous. Of course, it is continuous. Third condition finite. Of course, it is finite because once again, cos theta, maximum value is +1, minimum value is -1. So it is well-behaved. It is well-behaved. Next, say tan theta. Psi equal to say tan x. Tan x. Okay. Of course, it is single valued. For a particular value of x, say tan 0, x equal to 0, tan 0, 0. Okay. But or x equal to 90 degree. Okay, it is single value. For a particular value of x, we will get only one value of psi. It is also continuous. It is also continuous. But whether it is finite or not, definitely not. It is not finite. Why? Say, no doubt when x equal to 0, psi will be equal to 0. But when x equal to 90 degree, 90, this will be equal to infinity. Because tan x means sin x by cos x, but sin 91, cos 90, 0, so infinity. So this is not well-behaved. This is not well-behaved. Okay. Similarly, let us see another example. Say psi equal to say e to the power -x, and limit of x is say 0 less than equal to x less than equal to infinity. Limit of x is this. Now whether it is well behaved or not, it is well behaved or not. Now of course this is number 4, this is number 4. Okay, now of course this is single value, this is continuous. Now whether this is finite or not, whether this is finite or not, say this I can write like this, 1 by e to the power x. Now when x tends to 0, x tends to 0, so this is e to the power 0, so psi tends to 1. Okay, e to the power 0, 1. When x tends to infinity, e to the power infinity, so 1 by infinity, 1 by infinity, so psi tends to 0, that is finite. So this obeys all the three conditions. This function obeys all the three conditions: single valued, continuous, and finite. So once again, this is well behaved. This is well behaved. But you see, say same function, limit is say this. Limit is this. Okay, minus infinity. Once again, I can write it like this. I can write it like this, or even if I do not write, say x equal to minus infinity, x equal to minus infinity. X equal to minus infinity means minus minus plus. Okay, plus. So when x tends to minus infinity, so psi, it will become e to the power infinity. Okay, that means infinity. So this is not, so this function is not well behaved within this limit. This function is not well behaved within this limit. Okay. Similarly, let us see another example. So psi equal to e to the power minus x square, and limit is say minus infinity x plus infinity. Okay, x square. So I can write it like this, 1 by e to the power x square. Okay, now here you see, if x tends to minus infinity, then psi tends to, so minus infinity square, okay, square, so 1 by infinity, it will be 1 by infinity. So that means it will be 1 by infinity. This is so 1 by infinity, that means it will become 0. Now it will become 0. Minus infinity square, it will be plus. Okay, plus, so 1 by infinity 0. Okay, then x tends to infinity, then also it will be 1 by infinity square, that means 1 by infinity, that means psi tends to 0. So once again, this is well behaved, this is well behaved, this is not well behaved, and this is well behaved. So in this way, problems may be asked. Okay, problems may be asked. Well, next let us see normalization. We have already seen normalization. So we have seen that what is normalization? Integration psi square d tau. If this integration equal to 1, this is in 3 dimensions, then psi is said to be normalized function, and this is known as normalization. Now orthogonality. Suppose we have two functions, psi 1 and psi 2. We have two functions, psi 1 and psi 2. Now if this integration psi 1 psi 2 d tau is 0, if this is equal to 0, then psi 1 and psi 2 are said to be orthogonal. Psi 1 and psi 2 are said to be orthogonal to each other if this integration is equal to 0. This is in 3 dimension. If I write in 1 dimension, I can write it like this: psi 1 psi 2 dx 0. Okay, so if this integration or this integration is 0, then psi 1 and psi 2 are said to be orthogonal to each other. Orthogonal to each other. This is orthogonality. Then orthonormal functions. Orthonormal functions. Okay. Suppose we have a set of function like this. We have a set of function like this. We have a set of function like this. We have a set of functions like this. Now if each function is normalized, say psi I square d tau, each function is normalized, and any two functions psi I j are orthogonal. If each function is normalized and any two functions are orthogonal, then we say that this is a orthonormal set of function. This is a orthonormal set of function. Each function is normalized and any two functions are orthogonal. So this is a orthonormal set of functions. Okay. We can write like this also. Say integration psi I j d tau square. Let me write it like this. Psi square. Let me write it like this. Psi integration psi I psi j d tau, that is equal to 1 if I is equal to j and this is equal to 0 if I is not equal to j. Okay, this condition, and this is wrong, this is not correct. So ij equal to 1 if I equal to j, this. So in this case, if these conditions are satisfied, then this is a orthonormal set of, this is an orthonormal set of functions. Okay, so we can write it together, and if we write separately, it will be psi j d tau 0, not this. Okay, orthonormal set of functions. Now let us see one or two examples. Let us see one or two examples. Let me find out. Okay. Let me find out. Say, suppose you have been given this question. You have been asked this question. Okay. Normalize the function cos pi x by a within the range 0 less than x less than a. So within this range we have to normalize this function. So how to do this? So we have to do this. First you assume that let the normalized function be psi equal to n cos pi x by a. Then we apply the normalization condition. What is the normalization condition? Integration minus infinity. Normalization condition is this: psi square dx must be 1. This is the normalization condition. But what does this limit mean? What does this limit mean? A limit to ki bujhai baru. This means the maximum possible limit. Here maximum possible limit is this 0 to a. So if we apply the normalization condition, now it will be like this: 0 to a, not minus infinity to plus infinity, because our limit is this. Okay, so n square cos square pi x by a dx, this is 1. Okay, so I can take n square out. Now you see, cos of a plus b equal to cos a cos b minus sin a sin b, or cos 2a that is equal to cos square a minus sin square a. Okay, now this we can write like this: cos square a minus 1 minus cos square a. So this will be equal to 2 cos square a minus 1. Okay, 2 cos square a minus 1. It will be this. So we have cos square this. So what we can do? We can do it like this: n square by 2, 0 to a, 2 cos square pi x by a dx equal to 1. So from this, what we 2 cos square a, so 1 minus 1, so it will be equal to 1 plus cos 2a. Okay, this side it will be 1 plus cos 2a. This side 2 cos square a will be equal to 1 plus cos 2a. So or we can write n square by 2, 0 to a, 1 plus cos 2a, 2 pi x by a dx equal to 1. Okay, equal to 1. Now we can write the two integrations separately. Okay, we can do it like this: or n square by 2 integration dx 0 to a plus 0 to a cos 2 pi x by a dx equal to 1. So these are the two integrations. Now this is equal to integration dx, so this is equal to a. So this will be equal to, or n square by 2, then this will be a plus, okay, this will be a plus this integration. Let me solve this integration. Okay, so integration 0 to a cos 2 pi x by a dx, value of this integration. Okay, let me find out this value. Now we can do it by substitution also. Suppose y equal to 2 pi x by a. Okay, so dy will be equal to 2 pi a by a dx. So dx equal to, so from this will be 0 to a cos y, sorry, 0 to a. Now you see, if x is 0, y is 0. If x is a, this is 2 pi after substitution. Okay, x is 0, y is 0, and x is a, so y equal to 2 pi. So cos y, then dx equal to a by 2 pi dy, a by 2 pi dy. Okay, so integration of this equal to sine, a by 2 pi 0 to 2 pi, so this equal to sine, okay, this equal to sine y 0 2 pi. Okay, now you see, sine 2 pi equal to 0, sine 0 equal to 0, so whole this thing will become 0. Okay, sine 2 pi equal to 0, sine 0 equal to 0, so this thing will become 0. So this is 0 equal to 1. In examination, you have to show all these things. Okay, or n square equal to n square by 2 into a equal to 1. N square by 2 equal to this. So n square equal to 2 by a. Hence n equal to 2 by a whole to the power half. So the normalized function is 2 by a whole to the power half cos pi x by a. Normalized function is this. So we have to solve like this. Normalized function is this. Next, let us see another problem. Show that sin pi x by a and cos pi x by a are orthogonal within the limit 0 x a. So we have to prove this. Once again, psi 1 equal to this, psi 2 equal to this. So orthogonal means, so what will be the solution? Orthogonal means we have to prove this. Sin pi x by a, limit is 0 to a, cos pi x by a dx equal to 0. We have to prove this. We have to prove that this is equal to 0. Because in order to be orthogonal, this integration must be 0. So we have to prove this. Okay, so let us see. So this is equal to, how to do this? let me write it like this: half 0a to sine pi x by a cos pi x by a dx. Okay, now sine a plus b, sine a plus b equal to sine a sine b, sine a cos b plus cos a sine b, cos a sine b. So sine 2a, sine 2a equal to 2 sine a cos a. Okay, 2 sine a cos a. All right, so what we can write? Half equal to half into 0 to a sine 2 pi x by a dx, 2 pi x by a dx. Okay, now as before you do the integration, if you do the integration, you will have integration sign equal to minus cos, and it will be a by 2 pi, and it will be cos 2 pi x by a, 2 pi x by a 0 a. Okay, it will be this. So this will be equal to minus half a by 2 pi, and now a. Okay, a means cos 2 pi, cos 2 pi equal to 1, cos 2 pi equal to 1 minus 0, cos 0 1. Okay, 1, that means 0, so this is 0, so this is 0, hence proved. Okay, we have proved this. So in this way problems may be asked, and you have to answer like this. Okay, next let us talk little bit. Okay, is it okay? Next let us talk a bit about operators. Okay, very simply operator means mathematical operation. Very simply, operator means mathematical operation. Any mathematical operation, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, integration, differentiation, any mathematical operation is an operator. And we can write it like this: an operator is a symbol for a rule for transforming a function to another function. No? An operator is a symbol for a rule for transforming a function to another function. We can say like this. But very simply, you can say that operator is any mathematical operation. Okay, and when an operator operates on a function, the function changes to another function. Okay, another function. When an operator O cap vocab is the operator. When an operator operates on a function, the function changes to another function. Okay, that is given in the rule. Transforming a function into another function, Okay, so operator will operate on a function, then the function will change to another function. Okay, for example, say function is say x square, and operator is say d dx. So function was x square, the function will change to 2x. X square, it becomes 2x. Operator operates on the function changes to another function. Okay. Similarly, say multiplication by x, multiplication by x. This is the operator. Now, what is the operator? Multiplication by x. What is the function? Say x square. So it changes to x cube. Okay. So when an operator operates on a function, the function changes to another function. Okay. So basic thing is that what is operator? It is mathematical operation, addition, subtraction, anything. But if you say that it is the mathematical operation, suppose differentiation. Suppose this is differentiation. Now differentiation whom? Okay. Or multiplication. Multiplication whom? Okay. There is the question. So just an operator does not mean anything. অকল অপাৰেটৰটো লিখিলে তাৰ একো কাম নাই, নাথিং. অকল অপাৰেটৰটো লিখিলে একো কাম নাই. তাৰ লগত কি লাগিব? আমি অপাৰেশ্যনটো কাৰ ওপৰত চলাম? ফাংচন. অপাৰেশ্যনটো কাৰ ওপৰত চলাম? তাৰমানে উই নিড এ ফাংচন. So just an operator means nothing. Along with the operator, we must have one function. Otherwise, meaningless. তুমি যেনিবা মাল্টিপ্লিকেশ্যন কৰিবা, কাক মাল্টিপ্লিকেশ্যন কৰিবা? You are multiplying by x. Whom you are multiplying? So you must need a function. So you are adding say 2. You are adding 2. Whom? Which whom? So 2 add কৰিব লাগে, কাৰ লগত add কৰিব লাগে? সেইটো লাগিবই. Otherwise meaningless. Just saying plus 2 meaningless. Because we need. আমাক লাগিব, আমি কাৰ লগত add কৰিম সেইটো লাগিব. So we need a function. Okay, this is operator. Now what we mean by addition? Addition of operator. What we mean by addition of operator? Suppose we have two operators, A and B. These are the two operators. Once again, just an operator does not mean anything. We need a function. So suppose the function is say fx. অকল অপাৰেটৰ লিখিলে একো অৰ্থ নাই, আমাক ফাংচন লাগিবই. আমি দেখিলোঁ এইটো ফাংচন লাগিব. So we have these two operators and this function. Now addition of this operator, these two operators. Now we need function. What does this mean? This means that the function is operated by fx, the function is operated by b, and say this result is say a, and this result is say b, Okay, so we are adding the two operators. That means we are operating the function by each of the two operators. We are adding the two operators. That means we are operating the function by each of the two operators, and the results are added. Results are added. So addition means this. না অপাৰেটৰ দুটা এড কৰিছোঁ, তাৰমানে কি বুজাব? প্ৰথমতে আমি প্ৰতিটো অপাৰেটৰেৰে ফাংচনটোক অপাৰেট কৰিম, অপাৰেট কৰি যি ৰিজাল্ট পাওঁ সেই দুটা আমি এড কৰিম। অ'কে, সিমিলাৰলি সাবট্ৰেকশ্যন হ'লেও সেম, সাবট্ৰেকশ্যন অলছো সেম থিং, এডিশ্যন অৰ সাবট্ৰেকশ্যন। অ'কে, সাবট্ৰেকশ্যন। Same thing. Next, multiplication of operator. Multiplication. Multiplication of operators. Again, say we have two operators A, B, and function fx. Say we are multiplying the two operators A, B. Of course, we need function. What it means? It means we operate the function by operator first, by operator B. Then whatever result we get, that result is operated upon by A. Okay? What does it mean? We operate the function by B first, then whatever result we get, that is operated upon by A. Now if we write like this, what does it mean? We operate the function by A first, and whatever result we get, that is operated upon by B. Okay? So multiplication means order. First by which operator, then by which operator. That order. Multiplication means order. First by which operator, and then by which operator. Okay? Now if we find that A B fx equal to B A fx, if we find that, then we say that operators A and B commute. Now if this is equal to this, যদি ইকুৱেল হয় তেতিয়াহ'লে কি ক'ম যে A আৰু B অপাৰেটৰ দুটাই কমিউট কৰিছে। আৰু এইটোক মই এনেকৈও লিখিব পাৰোঁ। চ' A B fx minus B A fx equal to 0. I can write like this, or I can write like this, say A B minus B A fx equal to 0. Or this thing can be represented by a symbol A B. Okay, AB. What does this mean? This means this. Okay, so now if this is equal to this, then A and B commute. Now if A B fx is not equal to B A fx, then A and B do not commute. A and B do not commute. A and B do not commute. Obviously, this is equal to this. A and B commute. This is not equal to this. A and B do not commute. Then, as before, we can write this is not 0. This is not 0. Or we can write A B fx is not 0. Or we may write A B, this is not 0. Now if this happens, then we say that this is a commutator operator. This is commutator operator. Commutator operator. Commutator operator. When we say commutator operator, when A and B do not commute. When A and B commute, we do not say commutator operator. But when A and B do not commute, we say that this is commutator operator. And what is this? Once again, what is this? This is equal to this. Commutator operator. Okay. Now let us see a few examples. Small example, in fact. Say, suppose question. If A equal to root over square root and B equal to square, taking square, okay, and fx equal to x square, so that A and B commute. So you can do yourself, not difficult at all. You can do yourself. Okay. So answer. Everything given, A given, B given, fx given. So you can easily do it. Say A B fx, that is equal to what we get? Let me write it like this. A B fx, okay, this is equal to square root. A equal to square root, okay, square root, and B equal to square of what? Fx square. That means x square. Square what? Fx square. Okay, fx square. So this will be equal to obviously x square. Now say B A fx. Okay, so this is equal to B A fx. This is equal to B means square, okay, square. So A means square root x square, square root x square, and b means square. So this is equal to again x square. Okay, that means a and b commute. A and b commute. Okay. Similarly, suppose you are given say a equal to d dx, b equal to multiplication by x, fx equal to again x square, x square. Now show whether a and b commute or not. A is this, b is this, fx is this, and you have to verify whether a and b commute or not. Okay. Now again you do this a b fx equal to d dx x b multiplication by x fx x square. Okay, this is equal to d dx x cube, that is equal to 3x square, 3x square. Now b a fx equal to b means multiplication by x, a means d dx x square. Okay, fx x square, d a fx. So this is x into 2x, that is equal to 2x square. So a and b do not commute. This is not equal to this. So a and b do not commute. Okay. So a and b do not commute. Now say another question. So since they do not commute, what will be the value of the commutator operator? Okay, now see commutator operator a b fx equal to a b fx minus b a fx minus b a fx. This is equal to 3x square minus 2x square, that is equal to x square. Okay, and that is equal to x square means fx, that is 1 into fx. Okay, fx means x square. So what is the value of commutator operator? So what is the value of commutator operator? That is equal to 1. Value of commutator operator is 1. Okay, so if a and b do not commute, we can find out the commutator operator. Okay, now if a and b commute, then of course commutator operator will be 0, but we do not call it because it will be 0 only. If a and b commute, value of commutator operator will be 0 only. So we do not write like this. Next, another question. So you have to find the value of x d dx. You have to find the value of this. Okay, that means a is this, a is multiplication by x, b is d dx. Now in this case you can take any function. You can do like this, say x, okay, multiplication by x d dx, and you take the function as fx, and so this will be equal to x d dx fx minus d dx into x fx, it will be this. Okay, so this will be equal to, this will be x into f dash x minus two functions, first function, second function, first function, second function. So what we do d dx of first function x into second function, d dx of first function into second function, plus d dx of first function into d dx of second function. Okay, so this will be equal to minus fx. Okay, so this is equal to minus 1 into fx. So value of this will be equal to minus 1. Okay, you have to solve like this. So let us stop here today. So we have discussed commutator operators. Next we will discuss other types of operators, just like linear operator, Hermitian operator. We will talk about these things next time. Okay, then we will also solve some problems. Okay, and after that we will discuss about eigenvalue, eigenfunction. Okay, like this. And I think I talked about eigenvalue and eigenfunctions. What are eigenvalue and eigenfunctions? What are eigenvalue and eigenfunctions? No? So if an operator operates on a, if an operator operates on a well-behaved function to give the same function multiplied by a constant, then the function is called eigenfunction and the constant is called eigenvalue. Okay, eigenfunction, eigenvalue. So we discussed about this, I think. So this is equal to this fx, and we are getting the same function. We are getting the same function multiplied by a constant. So this is the eigenfunction, this is the eigenvalue. Okay, next time we will also solve a few problems related to this. Okay, so let us stop here today.